Everybody, let's get going. That is too loud. Coming through for y'all, isn't it? As usual, I went up a level, and so I immediately get somebody medium big. My roster is bigger, but that's a good one. Hey, Pablo, how's it going? Welcome, Saffron. Don't mind if I do. I probably shouldn't be banning Yelena, since I have Samurai. I don't know, it feels weird. Do need to make sure I have somebody for Domino. Kushala kind of works. Zola kind of works. I would love long shot. It's good to pick up Zola. Nice, Jaden. Yeah, I played a bit this morning to make sure that I got the objectives, but obviously I still have a bit of a ways to go. It's an annoying pick for them. I'm doing okay. Appreciate it. Nice, Jay. Congrats on that. Probably just bull rushing. I was hoping they'd use a Koye. That'd be better for me, for sure. Hey, Sans, how's it going, man? And the opponent dexing in this meta is so bad. Oh, why did I do that? I definitely didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I don't know how to play that properly. Her dexing early just threw off so much. And I needed to throw a special one right away to get a Fury. I clearly have no idea what the heck I'm doing with Zola. But that's the whole problem right there. I don't think I was getting around that. Yeah, I think the meta's good. Like, the Mr. Fantastic pre-fights help it get out of or help it not get out of control. And I think that works just fine. Yeah, I can't get around that Okoye. I probably should have banned her. Like, they have all the answers, and I don't in this draft. Would have been nice. To hold on to them. I was expecting a bit better there, but, like, we were gonna lose to Okoye anyway. Alright, next. That's nice. I will answer chat a bit more. Mike, if you're expecting me to do something about it, you gotta be more specific than that. That's not particularly helpful. No, Sasquatch is not armor break immune. I know the line is in his kit, but the code is not attached to it. And the node says he's not armor break immune. If you have video of him being armor break immune, then let me know where I can find it and I'll take it back. But like, I double checked the code yesterday when somebody else was worried. Hey, SYZ, it's going okay. Yes, Sasquatch was armor break immune last month because they messed up the fix the month before that, and so it unfixed itself. I've kind of explained this before. I'm not going to go into it right now, but like it's the way our migration process works and our dev timelines work. If you're not careful, it's very easy for things you fix to unfix themselves the following month, and that's what happened. But I double checked, and that didn't happen this month. The code looks correct. That makes sense. No worries. When I say we've covered this before, I mean like a long time ago, Jeremy. And so I'm not gonna get into it now unless somebody like is very curious. That was more me holding myself back from a tangent than admonishing you, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's catch up a little bit. Jace has got Taurus, and I like him, but he'll tell me his best rotation. It kind of depends. Like his short form rotation is kind of intended to be special one, special two, so that you get the fury up from the special one, and then that gets magnified by the traumas in the special two. And sometimes it works out that way, but it kind of depends how many traumas you get up, and if you can get into the super mode by the special one. If you can't get the special one off in the super mode, then I think it honestly might make more sense to go straight to special two and then just kind of combo your way out of there. But honestly, I haven't really spent a ton of time with Joaquin, really digging into his optimal damage rotation. It's more just a matter, for me, I've spent more time getting comfortable with just keeping his utility up, if that makes sense. Um, so physical resistance makes some sense for Photon, Matt. Given the redundancy between her SIG and block pen, I think I agree it's probably not block pen, but I don't know that physical resistance is really the answer either, right? Because physical resistance does nothing against Okoye, physical resistance does nothing against Black Cat, it does next to nothing against Mantis. If I remember correctly, it doesn't really do anything against Crossbones either, because he reduces physical resistance, doesn't really do anything against Falcon. Like, it depends on who is killing your photons, but I don't think that physical resistance is going to stop most of them. And so my instinct would be to actually go for armor pen on photon because she messes with the opponent's block proficiency. But after the block proficiency, they still have armor. And she's not doing anything to mess with that. So she might actually get more defensive damage out of armor pen than the other two. Okay. If you want to not be a jerk about it, Mike, you can send video somewhere and tell me where to find it. But like without that, I got nothing. Like, if it is actually bugged again, then that sucks. It does. It wasn't my mistake in the first place, and I've already put a few hours towards fixing it the two previous times it's come up. And then I went and double checked both the master document and the split that went live to make sure that it wasn't true here either. So if it's broken through that, then we're already past like a few rounds of due diligence. And I apologize for it, but I've done what I can. And so if you want to be rude to me, I mean, I can't stop you, but I also don't have to take it. Okay, I'm seeing your response, Jeremy, and I appreciate you being responsible. Oh, you're saying, do you do a ticket for last month? No, I don't think so, because I think we already sent out compensation of revives. Thank you, Matt. I probably should have grabbed Bullseye. A little distracted here. Yeah, one of my alliance mates also brought Iron Man, if I remember correctly. Got a news flash for you, Mike. It is pretty exhausting for those of us working on the game when things go wrong too. So you don't have to take it out on me. Especially when I spend so much time going out of my way fixing bugs, tracking down bugs, finding them, reporting them. I understand you're frustrated. I don't have to let you take it out on me. That's unfortunate. I was clearly late on that parry. Nah, it's, and I want to be clear, like, if you'll find bugs, totally fine to bring them up. I'm not necessarily going to chase down all of them. It's not my primary or even my secondary job. Sometimes it's my secondary job, but it's not right now. But, like, have some empathy. Oh, okay. I just read this guy's message, and so now I understand Sans is better. I was a little bit confused by that earlier, but I was like, I'm missing context somewhere. So now I understand. Yes, Sasquatch is generally armor break immune, but there is a node on Sasquatch in raids that clarifies that his wrath stacks don't reduce incoming damage, and also that he is no longer immune to armor break. And the way that was actually coded was when the Raids version of Sasquatch was set up, that code was just never attached to him. I went and verified that it wasn't attached to him, but I also understand that if you were reading his kit, it looks like it's still attached to him. Excuse me. Because the string, as in the string of text that goes on his info page and tells you that he's armor break immune, that's actually attached to his frostbite immunity. And so that's why it's still there. That is annoying, but yeah, that's why the node is there to tell you. Yeah, I can't really get more into it than that. Whoops. Dang it. Okay, that was bad. Man, I'm gonna lose because I played poorly. That's never fun. Alright, come here. Yeah. No, that was 100% my fault. Fair to our opponent. I would salute them, but they were annoying with emotes during the draft. Yeah, no problem, Joey. This is going to be annoying a few different ways. I really should have won that second round. Okay. Healthy enough. Woo! Slow and steady. Okay, Black Hole asked... Would I rank for Purgatory or Isophene? I have a rank for Ghost Rider Relic on Purgatory. Makes you lean one way or the other. I think Purgatory is generally more powerful. Isophene does have the more automatic Serpent answer. She's probably higher prestige for you as well. And then if you specifically want their immunities, then that could sway it. But I think in a vacuum, I'd probably go Perk. No, I get you. This guy, don't worry. There'll be new raids, defenders, next raid. Think we're at the end of the saga, so probably. That's usually when things switch. Obviously, raids month made things a little bit more complicated this time. That's right, Joey. We can add 4 inches to your second toe on your right foot. Congratulations. Tell him what he's won. Gene is very tanky, yes. And Kushala is a little bit harder to use in this particular meta, thanks to her putting buffs on the opponent. Yeah, there are a fair number of people still working their way up Legend for sure. She chose Jean Grey, Photon, and Nick Fury without me telling her who's good. It's kind of funny. I believe that was mentioned in the post, Mike, that was something that we were looking at. Doesn't necessarily mean we can snap our fingers and have it ready immediately, but it is on the docket. I'm doing pretty decent this evening. A little bit behind in the Battlegrounds from where I wanted to be, thanks to not really being able to stream the other night. For those of you who caught that ill-fated stream where I tried to play Battlegrounds on PC and tilted a bit, apparently it was just my USB-C cord. Same one that came with the capture card and that I'd been using for the last year, just decided it was not going to work anymore. It's always fun. You have a rank 4 Yelena. Why did you ban my rank 3? Why do you have a rank 4 Yelena if you're banning rank 3s? Okay. Hey, Narc, how's it going, man? They're gonna call me the Lost Rapper. That's good. No, the Petrify node is not there to hurt any masteries or anything like that. The purpose of it... Hercules, how about that? Haven't seen that in a while. The purpose of those nodes is for the power gain that's at play in this meta to try and give you a tool to interact with them a little bit more dynamically. Yeah, basically just that. Like it was very helpful in that last matchup of the Kushala versus Jean because I was able to keep the Petrify up. The rich get richer was not as much of a problem for me as it otherwise could have been. Is Elena's for people without Elena? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Elgato's apparently fine. It was just the what you call it. It feels like where I use Jess. Yeah, it was the cord. Like, I forgot to do this while I was streaming the other day, but I opened up the 4K capture utility to check on the card directly to make sure it wasn't OBS or something. And it goes, make sure you're plugged into a USB 3.0 port. Like, oh, great. Luckily, I had another cord that did the job. Nice. Well, that was a terrifying little AI freeze. Me too, Sam. So hard to get your whatchamacallit fixed when you're trying to tell people it's broken. Exactly that. People like me who want to get the radiance. Okay. Excuse me. I think this is a sinister fight. Hey, Aiden, how's it going? I wasn't 100% sure that would kill. Jesus Christ. Yes, that is a relatively recent rank up. I think he's my most recent rank 4. Either that or second most. Yeah, I had to try a different cable, and then suddenly it worked. So apparently the cable I'd been using for a year was done. I don't know, Legend. It's a good buff. I gave some feedback on the tuning, but I don't know when exactly it's going out. Only sometimes, Sans, but that's absolutely like one of the skills that the best Battlegrounds players have over me is knowing when you can close it out. It's important in war too, right? Like knowing when you need to be aggressive and when you really should not be. It's funny because it's kind of the same thing as I've been doing this a lot lately, but it's kind of the same thing as in Magic the Gathering. They say that like one of the most important tactical mistakes you can make is thinking that quote you're the beatdown when you're not, or vice versa. Meaning like if the state of the game is such that you are the one who should be attacking versus defending and developing, and you make that call wrong, it's a very easy way to lose it or to lose a game. It works here too. Um, I put a stat cast with the cruelty stat onto a Koye, will that extend her debuff duration? And will the debuff duration extend the more I rank the relic? Yes and yes, but I do want to still call out that I believe Okoye is directly measuring her crit damage as a percent, and so it is subject to diminishing returns. So you will benefit, but it might not be quite as much as you think. Dust, Dazzler, or Chavez. I've got Hulk, Venom, and Sasquatch. You've got enough damage. I think I would go Dust for immunities, Jeremy, or maybe Chavez instead. Um, if you feel like you have trouble dealing with power control. The bracketed durations in Okoye's kit are the increased durations according to her base critical damage, yes. So, like, that is completely in a vacuum, no masteries, no stat cast, no stat focus. What are the durations just based on her tuning and her abilities? And then it will go up from there. But that's giving you a good idea of, like, what her effective baseline is. Um, Continuing the what you call it joke longer than anyone but myself and Sans enjoy. There's an old Magic the Gathering card. It's called like Goblin Engineers or something. It's very old, but the flavor text was like my brother's and my absolutely favorite freaking thing when we were growing up. I need to find this because I don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, there it is. Croc Clan Engineers. The flavor text on it, we laughed way too hard at when we were kids. Well, I jammed the what's it into the whack doodle, but I think I broke the thingamajigger. Just A plus goblin text. Um, now would you Yanks call biscuit? Hey man. Oh, good biscuits with sausage gravy. Crackback always hurts. Absolutely. I'm glad you're liking him, Nartic. I feel like Idun gets a bad rap. Might not be quite at the very top of the tech class, but I think generally better than people think. Don't think you gain a tick of damage. And that is a good way of looking at it, Victor, right? Because you are benefiting, but with her, it really is, are you getting one more tick? He might, Travis. I think Sandman can definitely do the offensive work, to your point, with heal reversal. The bigger problem for him is probably going to be the defensive value. What are you whining for? You banned my kid. I do need to get my Okoye up. I didn't even think about it, Sans, but that's funny. I do my best. I don't know that that high evolutionary is actually going to do me much good. I think that might have been a draft mistake. Clearly, it was a mistake to not take Jean because the game said, well, you're never going to see her again. But hard to know that ahead of time, ain't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Quick rundown on psychic shielding is that it doesn't work because it's not an ability, it's a tag. It's a tag that other abilities listen for, and that's where a lot of the confusion comes from. I'll have to look that up in a minute, Clubs. Yeah, put another way to what Sans said, the problem with saying, like, my brother and I as a subject is that I is not, or sorry, yeah. I said it a little bit wrong, but basically, like, you have to be able to take things out and have them make sense, but you also need to make sure that you're using subject and object forms when you're supposed to. It's late. I'm not going to delve into it more than that, so I'm just glad that I got it right without thinking about it this time. Maybe, Victor. That's a close one. Alright. You're gonna cry. You get the She-Hulk. Take care, Joey. Yeah, what Sans said. Because you wouldn't say, do you want to come to the shops with Sans and I? Because you wouldn't say, do you want to come to the shops with I? That one I feel more strongly about. There should be a visual distinction between Stagger and Fate Seal. Of course. Hoods isn't a Fate Seal, it's a Hex. Which, I'm not being fully serious. I'm not defending that, but... the duality of man. Oh. I don't know if Jeremy was responding to the grammar thing or the psychic shielding thing. But either way, those two responses after each other are very funny. I always used to tell my SAT students that the secret to doing well on the language section of the SAT was to understand that it actually was very nearly as objective as the math section. Because a lot of people allow themselves to fall into the thinking that language is wishy-washy and subjective, and that you just, you got to get into the other person's head, or it doesn't, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Whereas math has rules, and like that's not really true. Um, like math's rules are clearer and more defined most of the time, but language very much has rules as well, which is why a lot of your language teachers made you diagram sentences. Excuse me, thinking. And so if you can learn those rules, things get easier. Yeah, working my way through EK. Yeah, and that's very fair, Pablo. Some of the stuff I had to relearn um, as I was getting back into that headspace to tutor was a little bit embarrassing. There was one point where I was getting ready to like set myself up for that, where I like remembered roughly what the quadratic formula was, but not what it was called, and that is a difficult thing to find if you don't know what it's called. No, no, they are not clubs. Nice, Preston. That wasn't very cash money of you, Jessica. Come on, throw it. You jerk. That retribution would have killed if he had. Very annoying. Okay, thank you, Kindred. Proven your worth. Should I have kept you for Maestro? I don't know. Possible. Like they're using Cult, right? Yeah. So the question is, can I get through? Nope, didn't parry. That's I really expected that to kill. So that's... Alright, I will catch up on chat if I don't have to play around 3. Let's see. I think at this point it means they lost their Thanos' favor buffs. And therefore we should be fine. But it's also Cull, and so it takes me a while to unclench. Yeah. Don't do that, Jeremy. When somebody knows the rules, don't accuse them of AI, right? Some of us worked for that. That's probably a good thing, Cashew. How's it going, man? Hey Lizzie, my alliance did not get AQ rewards last week. I saw something about that. There was a payout that got stuck. It is getting looked at. I didn't follow up too deeply with that myself, as there's not really much I could do to help it along. But I do know it's getting looked at. Um, if you haven't, or if somebody in your alliance hasn't, definitely submit a report or submit a ticket about it to make sure you get helped. But I do know they're looking at it. Yeah, I'm sure, clubs. A friend of mine who went to law school but didn't take the bar immediately after, is what they call JD advantage, as in like you have an advantage in the field you're planning to go into because you have a JD, a Juris Doctorate, but you don't need to be a practicing lawyer. He recently took the bar exam after 3 years outside, and yeah, I mean, he did it kind of out of spite to prove he could, but some, some of the relearning process was not pleasant. Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point, EK. A lot of it is such a huge part of learning a second language. It's like if you paid any attention to the rules of your own language, then learning the second language becomes easier. And also, if you're paying attention while you're learning the second language, you are probably going to understand your own more completely. It's one of my favorite things about learning languages, honestly. Okay, they don't have a Koye, so that's the thing, Jaden. In academic contexts, they're not that fluid. There's a lot of rules in English where you can follow it up with, but that's not a big deal, and if you break that rule, people will understand you, and so in common parlance, it's not a huge problem. But like what they don't really tell you is that for a lot of those rules, yeah, you might not ever be graded on them outside of a standardized test or after school, but a lot of those rules are the little subtle things that do create prejudice against you because people think that you aren't communicating clearly enough or professionally enough. And that bias might not be fair, but it does exist in a lot of places. And knowing how to navigate that is actually pretty important. Hey, easy, how's it going? Yeah, the order of objects blew my mind the first time I found out about that. Murkashi was such a melodramatic emo baby. It's really funny. Sure, you're not alone in that. Did they really get their Nico and I didn't get mine? That's just criminal. Yeah, that checks out. That's not what I was expecting. Yeah. I hear that, Clubs. Okay, that was better than last time. I don't know why they use Nico. Maybe it was a mistake. Or maybe they misremembered her pre-fights and thought she had bleed immunity. I could see that happening. I had some bad runs earlier. Easy. I appreciate the compliment. See, I get what you mean, EK, but I don't agree because I understand that it could get in the way for some people, but I think still learning things like really understanding different parts of speech, the difference between adjectives and adverbs, subject and object forms, conjugation, like those things do help you, right? You can learn them in the context of another language, and that might be fine, but like there are things about Spanish I definitely picked up faster because I paid a little bit of attention because I couldn't help it in seventh and eighth grade, kind of thing. Yeah, and I agree with you there, Jaden. It's kind of like, yeah, but that's also like kind of what my point was, that because of how we use language, it feels more subjective, but in the context of like you need to find the one right answer to this question, it's actually not. And it's not some grand mystical thing. You can learn the rules. And unfortunately, like the easiest way to learn the rules of like proper English is to go back in time to when you're 5 and read a lot more. But like that's not advice I can give to 15-year-olds. I need to help them understand the rules. But the first step to getting them to understand the rules is like helping them believe that they can, if that makes sense. Yeah, it definitely does, Clubs. He's one of those who has too much power. Because I could have played, like, the rotation would have been more comfortable if I hadn't had to worry about going to 3 bars. Maybe I should ban Nick and Danny? Never mind. I was about to ban Carolina and Okoye, but I'll take it. No, I'm sure you do, Sans. I've run into the same thing with Magic the Gathering. If I have time to play in the middle of the day, I feel like I have a better record than like if I'm ever dumb enough to queue up, especially near the end of the format where there are fewer people overall playing, but like the good players are still playing. If I'm dumb enough to queue up at like 8 p.m. on a Friday, I just get obliterated, at least more often than not. Yeah, it does make sense, Pablo, because like yes, you can throw the special ones more often, but the special ones are also not the normal way you do damage against Zola, and you can land more hits. But yeah, it's at least very different. That makes a lot of sense, Victor. Um, yeah. Language contamination is a difficult thing. I think I've said this on stream before, but I dated a girl briefly who was comfortable in like 4 or 5 different languages, all of which she learned as an adult. And she said that the secret for keeping them straight was to not learn all of them from your base language, but to learn them from each other. As in, like, if you use English to learn Spanish and then use Spanish to learn German, you're less likely to get the rules twisted. I briefly tried that, and it did seem like it was helping. Um, then I kind of fell off the German wagon, so to speak. Yes, SYC. It's probably already been fixed. I guess there's not a war up right now, so you can't go look at it. Or maybe we're gonna fix it like right now while war is down. But yeah, that's getting fixed. The rage debuffs can still fail due to ability accuracy reduction because neutralize was something we wanted you to be able to use. So that's not changing. But the unstoppable passive and the endurance passives are protected against ability accuracy failure. Yeah, it was tough, Pablo. Like you can do that in Duolingo or whatever. Like you can set it up to learn German in Spanish, and it really tested my understanding of both. But I think she was right. Oh, absolutely easy. No, people get a lot of credit for that for me. Like obviously, I'm very comfortable in English, and I sometimes have to like explain words to my mother-in-law, but I don't judge her for that because English is her like fourth or fifth language. I'm sure, Victor. Killmonger is definitely worse this meta, isn't he? I hate his heavy so much. Nope, not doing that one. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense as well, EK. I mean, people complain about basically anything we put in the game as being too hard, at least in some places. I hadn't seen that personally, no. The testing I've seen, people have mostly been doing fine with it. I did a bit myself. Felt good yesterday. It's more difficult than the last one, but the last one was pretty easy, all told. Why specifically do you feel like it's too punishing, if you don't mind elaborating? Who counters MODOK on node 49? Um, probably do that okay with Shang-Chi. Wouldn't be ideal. Hold on, I can look in a second. I don't agree with that, Mike. We whitelisted all of them. There don't need to be a lot of counters. That's the whole point of the whitelist. We don't need to worry about there being 7 answers to the hardest matchup because people can't ban around them anymore. Okay, who answers MODOK on 49? Zemo sounds like he would be completely fine. Pretty sure there's a way to do that with Blade. Moleman sounds fine. I don't see any issue with that. Probably doable with Night Thrasher. I'll grant that that's difficult. And I stand by Shang-Chi being able to do it. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough placement. But that's not a problem. Not in my opinion. There should be a few tough placements. I honestly don't remember Shuriken. I think it's something about, like, interaction with Emma Frost. I don't remember. I don't do defense. I don't know if we'll put him there or elsewhere. Wait, what? You can't... How did that not work? Yeah, I used Shang-Chi on Node 44 last night, Aiden, in part to test that again myself. Dead in 2 special 2s. Hazard shift is fine. And I definitely don't buy that the steady build-up unblockable node is too hard. Because Patriot is in the pool. Just block it. Yes, the boss node was changed on purpose. The stun immunity may be back in the future. That is something we very much reserve the right to do. But we wanted to change it up a little bit. Yeah, Solvark as an anti-unblockable is a good shout. But, like, that node is literally one of the things that Patriot was built for. He works very well. Take care, Pablo. Oh, don't be so tinfoily, Mike. Cynical, that's the word. Well, that's bold. Now, reminder, I took the boss with Shang-Chi last war. Slow works fine. Yeah, I've taken Patriot, or I've taken Spider-Woman with Patriot on that node. It's tricky, but it's good. Especially if you can get a House of X there. That makes it significantly easier. So the reason that we swapped up the... You know what? Let me focus for a little bit longer. I'll come back. Part of the reason we made the swap was just novelty, right? The boss node has been stun immune for a very long time. For the most part, that's kind of its only threat. Thinking. Oops, not what I meant to do. Here we go. Yeah, I probably should have knocked down sooner, let it come back. No, because I need the bleeds, it's fine. Yeah, not the fastest, but that works. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that Victor. It's very weird when that happens. Patriot's Awakening helps, but it is a lot less important after his buff than it was before. Best relic for him is probably Black Panther, but there are a number of stat casts that work well too. Okay. Officially missed my Duolingo because I didn't do it before we started today. But that's okay. I think that means it's time to go to bed. I made good progress, so I need what? 7 more wins in a row tomorrow? We should be able to do that. Hey, Leroy. Fortunately, I'm closing it down. It's getting a bit late for me. Oh. But before I go, real quick, let me just answer a couple things. So yeah, the reason that we swapped out the boss node was, like I said, novelty, because it's been stun immune for a long time, but also we felt like stun immunity just blocks out a lot of things, and often that's valid because stuns are very powerful, but sometimes we specifically want you to be able to stun, and given that this tactic is asking you to knock down, like, you can still knock down sometimes, but we don't want the meta around the boss node to just be pick the person who's hardest to heavy counter. Like, because then that's not RPG design, which is what our job is. Then that's a quirk of animation, and that's not fun. Doesn't mean that that kind of thing won't happen in future seasons or whatever, but like for this tactic, that's what we were trying to do, was to allow you to slow, but or allow you to stun, but not with impunity. And the specific replacement we picked complicates stun some of the times. The fact that it complicates slow some of the times is good. That hits some of the characters. The fact that it hits heal block some of the times is also nice in complicating the tech versus mutant matchups. It was kind of a perfect trifecta of this messes with things, but doesn't fully stop them. And that just sounded a lot more interesting to us than stun immunity for the 60th time in a row. I am, Ishant. Sorry you gave up. I will probably be back tomorrow morning, which is part of the reason I'm going to bed now, so I have some time to stream tomorrow and hopefully not get too frustrated. But real quick, next month's champs are fun. Yeah, they're very fun. Both of them have completely unique play styles, is all I will say on it for now. Which might mean that not all of y'all enjoy either of them, but that's okay. We get to do that sometimes, and I think they came out in pretty nice spots. Yeah, I think that's all I can say here, and I'll cut it off there. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care.